This podcast is brought to you by learnmycraft.com. Now, we've all experienced the frustration of not having enough time to practice your art. So whether you're a total beginner or an experienced artist, Learn My Craft has got you covered. With easy to follow tutorials using coloured pencils and pan pastels, you can level up your animal art skills today in as little as 45 minutes. Make practice fun and easy again at learnmycraft.com. Welcome to the Animal Art Podcast. On today's show, I'm talking to Rachel Austin. Rachel is a self-taught artist from Michigan in the USA, and she's known for her charming acrylic paintings, huge murals, and bespoke commissions. As a mother and a small business owner, the way Rachel balances art with family life is inspiring. In this episode, we discuss the shift from watercolor to acrylics, the power of experimenting with different materials like pastel, and how upgrading to premium supplies can boost efficiency. Plus, how balancing art with family life brings its own set of challenges and rewards. As we talked, we both drew exercise 5 from the practice journal British Wildlife Edition, A Butterfly's Wing. This is all coming up in the show today, so get your materials ready if you're drawing along, hit follow and subscribe, and let's go. Hi, it's
Hello.
So nice to meet you.
You too.
So please tell me a bit about yourself and how you got started as an animal portrait artist.
So I'm self-taught, and I started doing just a lot of wildlife, so a lot of elephants, a lot of giraffes, things like that. Those are what I really like to paint. And then someone asked me, "Hey, could you paint my dog?" And I said, "Sure, I can try." So that's kind of where I started with that, and then I've just kind of continued on with it. So I do mostly dogs. I do a lot of dog paintings, but I've only done a couple cats, I believe. But yeah.
Oh, wow, that's wonderful. And how comes you started with elephants and giraffes? Are you really interested in African wildlife?
Yeah, so I've always loved elephants, so I just think they're brilliant and so smart and so sweet. And so I was like, oh, I'm just gonna paint it. So the first painting I ever did um was I made a couple different elephants, but elephants and tigers and giraffes and stuff like that. Um, so that's just kind of what I've been drawn to, and I just think that they're gorgeous. And then so I do that on the side, and then just do the um, pet portraits in between to supplement. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. And yes, tell me more about your medium.
So I mainly work with acrylic paint. I've tried watercolor before, and I'm just not super familiar with it. I tended to use watercolor more like acrylic, so I didn't use, so I just straight switched to painting. I've done a few colored pencil drawings, which I love to do. They just take me a long time to do, and so
Yeah.
I found that I'm much faster with paint. And with 2 little kiddos, I have to be as time efficient as possible.
Yeah.
I just switched to mainly acrylic, which I found to be the fastest for me, but still be able to get a large amount of detail. And then I've never tried oil painting. I would love to, but I'm kind of scared to.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Because I've tried acrylic and I always find it dries too fast for me.
Yeah, I do add there's like a paint retarder, so it'll make it dry slower, that I use sometimes, but I've never gotten the right ratio of that. I always make it either too much of that or too much paint, or it never turns out well. So I've just learned to paint fast, and just do a lot of layers. So, but hopefully I can get everything and then I need to.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, I love your artwork. It's so beautiful.
Thank you. I'm so impressed by how realistic you can get your pets with color pencils.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, lots and lots of practice. Yeah, so are you
Yes. Oh, I'm
using
sure.
acrylic today?
Yes, I'll be using acrylic. I'll be using Golden, the brand Golden acrylic.
Oh, I love them.
I switched from, I was just using like a kind of the cheap like student brand of it, and I got fairly good quality with that, just from my local store, and then they must have switched their formula for whatever reason, and
Mm-hmm.
I just found the coverage was horrible.
Oh,
And so I was like,
oh.
great, I'm spending 7 times longer trying to get the same results. Um, so I was like, all right, I'll just upgrade and just bite the bullet and get the good paint.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. I would never ever go back. So like,
It's
why didn't I do
definitely
this?
worth it, I think. Yeah, I've tried
Yes.
golden before and it's just such a lovely consistency.
Yes, it's beautiful and just
Mm.
so vibrant, and I can go over stuff in 1 to 2 quotes as opposed to, like I said, like 7 or 8. And
Yeah. Have you tried any of like their mixes? I know they do like 3D paint texture mixes and stuff like that. Like, have you tried adding anything like that to your paintings?
I have not. I Most of the painting that I get to do nowadays is um commission, so I don't get a ton of paint
Hmm.
time to just do what I would love to do, which I mean,
Hmm.
I love doing pet portraits for people. I love it,
Mm.
but I don't get to do a lot of experimenting. So
Yeah,
um
yeah.
this has been really fun. Just snag this for myself, and just did one the other day, and I was like, I haven't painted for myself in months, like
Yeah.
a very long time. It's been all commission, which is fantastic, but don't get a lot of time to just experiment with different mediums or different um, subjects or anything like that.
Hmm.
So this has been really cool.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's how it gets. That's how it was for me. Like, it literally years went by and I hadn't done a single thing for myself.
Yeah.
And you don't really like realize that until you're like, hold on a minute. I've got no
Yeah.
artwork and I've been drawing for how long now?
Yes. Exactly. I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
have anything to do like passive income with, because I don't have time to make anything for myself, and like I just need to
Mm,
like put that in my schedule of like, no, this week is straight just whatever you want to do. I should start doing that, but
mm.
that would be planning ahead.
Yeah. But I'm so pleased you enjoying the book so far then. 'Cause that's
I
why I designed it, is to have like small little doses of being able to just do something for you, practice for you, no pressure. It's not a commission, it's not something that needs to be perfect. And it can, because it's so small, it won't take you too much time. And you can just try out whatever technique that you've been, niggling to try, any sort of medium you've been really wanting to do but haven't really had a chance to do it. And I think these are like the perfect little 7x7 squares to do that
oh,
in.
oh yeah, it's been perfect. Like I did my first one the other day, and I was like, all right, I got both the kids to sleep. I was
Mhm.
like, I should probably go to bed, but man, I really want to paint something. So I just quick grabbed the book and just did the first one. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I think I did it in like an hour. And I was like, this is
Oh,
fantastic.
that's fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how long it's designed to. Obviously, some would take you longer than others, but yeah, an hour is like around about a good time, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's perfect. Especially when my kids like to wake up right in the middle of it,
Hmm.
or
Yes.
yes.
No, I am right there with you. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. So have you had any sort of like training? Like, have you done art at school, or are you completely self-taught?
I took one painting or one art class in when I was in high school, so forever ago. And then
Hmm.
I've bought a few courses here and there. And I have a subscription to a couple that like tutorial platforms,
Yeah.
which I haven't had the chance to dive into very
Mm-hmm.
much, which is a bummer. But so mainly just self-taught from the lessons and the courses and videos, and um, yeah, I haven't had any formal like go to a classroom and they teach you, like they sit you down and they teach you how to do it,
Mm-hmm.
type of deal. But so I'm like, oh, if I need to learn how to do this, I'll be like, I'll go to YouTube and be like, how do I paint this? And so and
Yeah,
then
that's
just try
totally the
different
way.
techniques of like what works for me and what I like to paint, and I like to do more realistic paintings as opposed to abstract. So
Mm-hmm.
trying to find the good balance between something that won't take me 12 hours to do, but something that'll still look good in the time that I have to do it. And so yeah, a lot of videos, a lot of I bought several books and courses. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Just finding the time now.
yeah, yes, finding all the time to use the courses that I've bought, and um, yes, that's been the tricky part. But
Yeah. So take me through your process then. So right now you've drawn out the outline, and then what do you do?
so I usually start with a background. So I get my basic shape in there, and then I like working from the back forward.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'll usually just do the background first, and then I save the main subject for last,
Mm-hmm.
because then it kind of just brings it all together,
Mm-hmm.
um, and um, lets me do, if I need to do more layers in certain areas, I can get all those in before I put the final details in there.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm going to start with the background of the green and the little bit of purple around it, and then go into the base of the butterfly. So I'll do all the light colors first,
Mm-hmm.
and then I like to end with the bright white and the darkest black
Mm-hmm.
at the very end. So kind of backwards a little bit, because I like to add the white in last, whereas with color pencil, you kind of got to work light to dark, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of the opposite, which is kind of hard.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
whenever I tried colored pencil, um, I always made it too muddy, or I'd go too many layers, and I'm like, oh, I should have just left it one layer before. And
Mm.
um, trying to add in like the highlights, I'm like, all right, I guess I use a pen sometimes for a highlight, and
Mm-hmm.
like a white
Mm-hmm.
pen. So it wasn't purely colored pencil, but
Mm-hmm.
um, adding that in.
No, I don't even do purely color pencil because I do this. This is my pastel layer. So I'm using pan pastels as my base layer because it definitely saves time when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to doing the color pencil because I feel like you're spending most of your time just trying to cover the
Oh,
paper.
yeah.
So I like to cover my paper with pastel, which is a lot quicker,
Oh, yeah.
and then
Yeah, you've
go in
already
with the
have it all
pencil.
baked
Yeah,
in, basically.
exactly. Exactly. So you're sort of like coloring on top of colored
Oh,
paper.
yeah.
Yeah. Because also, I don't think the pastel takes away any of the layers that you get with paper. If anything, I think it adds a bit more texture, so you can add more layers.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, so I think it works actually quite well to do the pastel base layer first. Obviously, quite thin, like I'm not trying to layer in quite a lot of color. I'm just trying to get the main color in there.
When did you start using that as your base? Like, have you always started with
Uh,
that, or was it kind of a
no,
learned?
it was sort of like it was an experiment that I did about maybe 6 years ago now, maybe longer. I don't
Okay.
know. But yeah, I just saw. I can't remember where I saw these pan pastels, but they just looked amazing. And I saw them in the shop, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to try these. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna try them for, or what they're even. That art shop
Oh,
thing
yeah,
when you see a
for
new
sure.
the new product that's going around, and you're like, well, I'll obviously buy that, but I don't know what I'll use it for yet.
Oh, yeah. I have tons of them. Like, oh, this would be so cool to try someday, and then
Yeah,
there it
yeah.
sits.
So that's what that was. um, but I tried it on a commission actually. I think I tried the black first because it's such a dark black and I needed like I think it was a dog nose, and it just wasn't going black enough for my
Mm.
liking. So I just mixed it a bit with the pastel first and then drew over the top, and it was just so much better. I was like, oh wow, well that was easy.
Right.
And then I just tried it more and more and more until I got to the point where I used it completely as a base layer, like what I'm doing now, and then just drew over the top. So it was literally just like an experiment, really. It was
Yeah.
quite ballsy of me to try it on a commission, but
Yeah. Just from seeing that, like that would scare me. I'd be like,
yeah,
oh no, what if I ruin
yeah.
it after all the
Well,
work that I put into it?
it's- sometimes like, I don't mind starting again if I do completely ruin it, but because I didn't have something like this where I could just do a little section or just try it out,
Right.
which is why I'm so pleased I've invented this practice journal. But yeah, I used to just experiment on my commissions themselves. So
Oh wow.
yeah. But no, they turn out well, so it's
Right,
fine.
right.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, I mean, I guess you can restart it, but that would be scary
Yeah.
too. You'd be like, oh, I just
Yeah.
wasted so much time and now it's ruined. I would probably cry,
Yeah.
but
I have had to restart a couple of commissions. I normally find that if I have like quite an extended break, then I feel like I forget how to draw.
oh.
And then and then I have to like think, okay, so how does this work again? Like what layers do I use? What colors do I use? You know, you just can't. Like, I guess, do you ever have that problem when you just can't mix the right color? You
Yes,
just have some
all the
sort of block.
time.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I'm like Googling, like, how do you make this color? And then I'm like, that's what I mixed together and it's not working. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just can't get it right. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm sure that looks right. And then as soon as I put it on the paper, I'm like, that is nowhere near what it's
Yeah.
supposed to look like.
And I was finding that as well. Like I've bought a pack of every single pencil possible. I have every color. Like I was just having that sort of artist block thing when you just can't figure it out for the life of you. Like, you know, I don't even need to mix the color, and I had no idea what color it was. But that hasn't happened to me in a while. I think I've sort of like gotten over that period. That was like quite early on, maybe my third year of being a professional, and sort of like hitting those blocks of working out exactly how to run your business successfully as
Oh,
well.
right. Yeah.
So are you full-time, part-time?
I am part-time, so I have a
Hmm.
full-time job that I do, and then I just do this on the side. I would love, love, love to do this full-time,
Hmm.
um, but I haven't built up the clientele just
Hmm.
yet to make that possible.
Hmm.
I'm trying to get better at like large murals too,
Oh,
so that would
wonderful.
help compensate for um, bringing in some cash flow
Hmm.
in the business, but I haven't quite mastered getting completely booked out yet. So I'm
Hmm.
still doing it on the side.
Hmm.
Um, I have I've had my business name now for I think this will be my second official
Hmm.
year, I believe,
Hmm.
of having that all legal and
Oh, that's
taxes and
exciting.
all that stuff. So that's exciting. Finally got that, but still just doing it on the side and trying to make it all work.
Hmm.
Has been a juggle with my kids so little and still working full time and my husband working and just trying to make it all
Mm.
work. So,
No, it is a constant juggle, yeah, but you're doing amazingly.
oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I think just keep going. You're doing it right.
Yeah, slowly but surely. And
Yes.
as the kids get older, I'm sure I can. My daughter wanted to join, so that was my daughter.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hello.
um, yeah, so just slowly but surely, just doing what I can, and every little bit helps. So, um, yeah.
That's wonderful. So where do you do your artwork then? Do you have your own little studio space, spare bedroom?
I wish I did. I'm currently sandwiched in the corner of our dining room.
Mhm.
I got my desk set up as a Mother's Day present. I've had my desk down for the last almost 3 years now. I took it down for my son's nursery. It was up where his bedroom is now.
Mhm.
So I took all my stuff down and packed it all away. And I just been working at either the dining room table or our coffee table or wherever I
Mhm.
could paint and keep an eye on him. And then this last, I don't know, this last year, I was just talking to my husband and I was like, I miss having my own spot. Like I miss
Mhm.
be able to have just leave my paints out and be able to jump into it whenever I have a quick pocket of time.
Mhm.
He's like, well, why don't we just shove this table over and we can set it up right here? And I was like, that would be fantastic.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
he did that for me for Mother's Day this year. Um, so I'm just sandwiched over in our little dining room area, but
Mhm.
I love being able to leave my desk up and leave all my paints out. And my kids are really good of like not touching it
Mhm.
if there's a commission on there, and they're really good about it. So
Oh, that's
it's
good.
been
It is very tempting, isn't it, for little ones?
yes. So I try to keep it mainly out of reach, but they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Usually, for the most part. Sometimes there ends up getting paint on some commissions that I have to paint
Mhm.
over, but
At least that's
that's the
easy
joy of
to
paint.
fix, though.
Yes.
Imagine getting it on a color
Oh
pencil
my
drawing that
goodness.
you can't go over.
Oh, I would cry. Thankfully, paint, you can just add another layer and most things can be fixed. But I did have
Mm.
one time that I had a commission out and I thought I had it high enough away from my son and he climbed up on top of our table
Oh.
and was walking on it. And I was like, and I do my stuff, a lot of my stuff on like canvases. So I'm like, please don't step right through it. Like I was so scared it was going to be ruined, and thankfully it was not. But oh my goodness, that was my like
Yeah.
heart stopping moment of oh my
Oh
goodness.
gosh.
So
Yeah.
and so then I had to keep like taking it down and putting it back up. So every time I wanted to paint something, I had to get it back out, and I would take 15 minutes getting everything set back up. And then by that point,
Mhm.
my kids were up from their nap, or I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm not getting anything
Mm.
done. So yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm glad you've got your own little spot now.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, I've got my own, well, basically, the spare room is our office studio space. I share it with my husband, but still my daughter loves to come in and join us, and I've only had one incident where she decided to put a handprint on a
Oh
commission,
no.
but the commission was only an outline, so
Okay, good.
it wasn't that far along yet. And I was like, ah, well, I did tell her to only handprint on paper rather than the walls, so at least she listened to
She
me.
was listening.
Yeah, like,
Oh
well
boy.
done. Uh,
Does she like to
so,
paint?
pardon?
Does she like to like draw and color and all that stuff?
Yeah, she loves
Oh,
that stuff.
good.
She always, whenever she like does drawing or painting, she's like, "Look, mummy, I'm an
Oh,
artist." And it's just like, "Oh, yes, you are."
that is so cute.
So sweet. Yeah, no, she loves all that stuff, which is literally like a mini me. It's hilarious.
Oh, that is awesome. I'm hoping
Yeah.
my daughter is. My son never stops moving long enough to do any
Mhm.
of that sort of thing. So I'm like, all right, maybe my daughter will sit down long enough to paint with me or color with
Mm.
me or even just read a book with me. Like my son just doesn't sit still. He's like,
Mhm.
and one page in, I'm done. Or one scribble on a piece of paper and I'm off running. So
Yeah. Oh dear. So tell to me about your paintbrushes because I always find it hard to decide like what's a good brand or like what's a good shape, especially like we're doing a butterfly right now.
mhm.
So how have you chosen what brush to use and why?
So I use mainly the same like three for everything I do. I
Uh-huh.
have a little medium one, which is the one I'm using right now. One
Hmm.
second, baby. And then I have a tiny little one for like little details, and then I have
Hmm.
um a wider, flat, like rectangular one if I'm doing a bigger piece and just need to cover a lot of area in a short
Yeah.
amount of time. But I mainly use the same three, and I just upgraded my brushes. I was using like $3 brushes from
Hmm.
from like our local store, like I was saying, and
Did the hairs
I kept
not
getting
fall out?
yes, they would fall out or they
Mm,
wouldn't stay in the shape that they are supposed to be. So I'd end up with a random line where it wasn't supposed to be a line. And then I was like, great, now I'm redoing everything that I started doing.
mm,
And my husband was like, well, just go buy a nice brush. I'm like, don't be ridiculous. That's wasting money. And I can just make it work with what I have.
mm,
And he's like, well, you're spending so much more time trying to fix things that if you had nicer brushes, you wouldn't need to fix. I'm like, well, stop
mhm.
talking logically. And
Stop
so
being right.
I know. And so I snagged a couple. I follow quite a few different artists on Instagram and
Hmm.
Facebook, and I was looking through the descriptions of what kind of brushes that they used. Um, and so they recommended this Princeton brushes. Um, so I snagged a couple sizes of that, kind of close to the size that I like to use, like that little. I don't know. It's not super crazy big, but um,
Hmm.
it gets the job done. Um, and I like it because it can cover both a wide area, but I can also do some fine detail with it, so I'm not switching brushes so much.
Hmm.
Um, so I just signed a couple different brands of that. And then I think I have this one's a Royal and Lang nickel. I don't even know. I just found the size that I wanted and snagged it. So I'm not super I don't really know all the different fancy
Hmm.
brands to use, but I just find the size that I like or about the
Hmm.
size that I've used previously
Hmm.
and just grab a bunch of them and use them basically until they die, until I've destroyed them
Yes.
basically. I always feel so bad. I'm like, oh my goodness, I just destroyed this. I'm like, well, you've been using the same one for like a year, so I think it's okay to buy another $6 brush. I think it's okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
That's my frugalness coming through of,
Mhm.
no, it's fine. I'll just make it work.
Oh, yeah, I've got so many tiny because I used to do a lot of oil painting um at like school and as a hobby when I was an engineer, and I always used this tiny detailed brush, and it just kept like fanning out, when it does,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just not useful anymore, but I
Yeah.
still kept trying to use it.
If I keep bugging with it and keep working with it, I'm sure it'll
Yeah.
do what I need to do, right?
Yeah, it'll go back to new, right?
Right. Right. And they're like, oh, you should use fancy brush solvents and make them good as new. And I just don't. Like these brushes were sitting in paint over or water overnight.
Mm.
And I was like, or I forget about them and come back to them later. And
Hmm. Yeah, exactly.
so yeah, so nothing too crazy. Like I said, I've been using just the cheap, like dollar store brushes for so long, and then I just grabbed a
Mhm.
couple little bit nicer quality, but nothing crazy. Like I didn't grab, there was definitely tiers above this one that I could have gotten. I was like, no, this will
Mm,
work. So kind of the mid-grade was what I chose to do. So
mm. I guess as you keep going, you'll keep learning about your style and what you like to use and what you don't like to use. And like you said about like, starting to use the golden brand, you now realize why it's the price tag it is,
mm-hmm.
and that kind of thing. And you'll discover it, I guess, as you go on, because that's definitely how I feel about color pencils. Because like I used to just use the Faber Castell ones, and I never understood really why people would spend so much on the Caran d'Ache Luminance until I tried it, and I was like, okay, that's why I'm buying
That is why.
myself. Yeah, yeah. So I bought myself the full set. Like when I made a big commission sale one year, I was like, well, I deserve this. I'm buying the full set,
Oh,
and
for
I
sure.
did. Yeah, so it's very satisfying when you earn that full set of pencils.
Part of it was I the color pencils that I was using, I think they were Prismacolor, so like
Mm-hmm.
the lowest, not quite the lowest, but basically
I've
the
heard
step above
they're really
Crayola.
good though.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
I've
and
heard they're a bit similar to Caran d'Ache because you can blend quite well with
yes,
them.
and that's what I really like. They're softer, so I
Mm.
could blend a lot easier. And so when I bought the harder color pencils, I had such a hard
Mm-hmm.
time like reteaching myself
Mm-hmm.
how to use it in a different way because I'm like, oh no, this is the way you use color pencils. And then I got those, so I have like the nicer ones that are like harder and they're supposed to, I don't know
These
why
one,
they're
the
better.
Faber-Castell ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I have a couple of those ones. And I'd never use them because I'm like, I don't know how to
Mm.
use them in the way that you're supposed to use them. So I was like, oh, that was kind of a waste of.
I'm
I should just practice more with them, but in all
I
my spare
mainly
time, I'll
use them
get to
for
that.
details.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I would say like even though I'm using it right now like to sort of blend, it's because I'm using pastel mat and I'm trying to create loads of layers. But I
Mhm.
would normally use these just for detail. So I'd spend most of like the time doing layers with the Caran d'Ache, which is like the Prismacolor, very soft, very blendable. But the best thing about them is that they're just such a lovely texture and luminosity. Like they are miles better than Prismacolor, but they're the same kind of use.
Got it.
Um,
That makes sense.
yeah, so I would use that first, get it all in your base layers, you're blocking in, your sort of subtle details. And then if you want like the proper like fur texture, lots of, lines over the top, little highlights in the eye, that's where the Faber-Castell ones come in because they're a lot harder. You can get that definition.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense.
Mm. Yeah. No, that's sort of how I do it anyway. I'm sure there's lots of other artists that maybe use them in a different order, because everything, depends on your style and the outcome sort of that you want to create. But
Mhm.
I find that's how I use them anyway. Yeah. Have you ever done any exhibitions or competitions and
I've
stuff?
never done any competitions. I've done
Hmm.
a couple markets,
Hmm.
which have been really fun. And I just did a market this past back in June.
Hmm.
But me and my sister did face painting
Oh
along
yeah.
with like the art that I was selling. So that was a
Uh-huh.
lot of fun. A whole different type of painting there.
Hmm.
I just love experimenting with like I'm not niched down into this is the only thing that I do, which I
Yep.
really like. Because I mean, so many times you're like, this is the only thing I do, the only thing I can do. And I like being able to, like, if someone comes to me and they're like, hey, I was kind of thinking about this commission, but you usually only do this. I can be like, oh, well, I can try it and then like see how it
Hmm.
goes. And like I just did a commission. I just wrapped it up for like a wedding bouquet, like a flat lay of
Oh.
a bunch of flowers. And I had never previously really done flowers before.
Hmm.
But she's like, would you be willing to try? And I was like, I would love to try
Hmm.
just to like try something new and see what else I can do as opposed to just pet portraits, which, like I said, I love doing, but it gives a different um, set of skills and and it gives variety to what you're doing,
Hmm.
which is really cool. Um, Kind of like I feel like you got the commission you were just working on today of what were those possums?
Yes, the possums.
Like
I've
I bet
just
you
finished
don't get
that.
a decent
Yeah.
amount of possum
Never had I've never had
commissions.
anything that isn't a pet. So
So that's really cool. Just kind of branching out a little bit. And I
yeah.
just found it was a lot of fun just being able to do something different and
Hmm.
um, try something new. And
Hmm.
yeah,
No,
but
that's
no, I haven't done
wonderful.
anything official. Like I haven't put my stuff in any exhibitions or anything like that or competitions.
Hmm.
Um, but
Would you want to?
I'm not sure. I wouldn't mind doing that. I don't have a ton of time right now to make new stuff, which
Mm.
is a bummer. So I'd have to like submit pet portraits, which would kind of be a little weird. Like, um, and but I don't know, maybe down the road when I can get back into finding the paintings that like I love to do that are
Hmm.
more of just me,
Yeah.
um, then I would love to do that, but it doesn't make sense right yet,
Mm.
unfortunately, but maybe someday.
Mm. And what you were saying about like you don't like to niche yourself, I think what artists feel like, well, the reason why they don't like niches is because then they then feel like that they can only do that thing.
Yeah.
But really, a niche is just a marketing strategy. It's nothing to do with you as an artist and like putting yourself in a box.
Okay.
It's just to not confuse customers. That's all a niche really is. You're just giving customers one message so they can come to you for that one thing, rather than saying I only do this one thing and I'll never do anything else. Does
Okay.
that sort of make sense? So
Oh
like
yeah.
it's easier to tell someone. So if someone asked you, what do you do? I say I'm a pet portrait artist. Even though I do lots of other
Mm-hmm.
things, it's easier to say one thing and for that person to then understand, okay, so if I've got a pet, I'll get you to draw it. It doesn't mean that, okay, but I've got a tiger and I'd love you to draw it or something, you know.
Right.
And they then wouldn't come to you because that's just not true. Like they might still come to you, like you've just had someone come to you with, a bouquet to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it doesn't mean that you can't say yes to those things because you've niched. It's just because your messaging is just a simple message of I'm a pet portrait artist or I'm a wildlife artist or I'm a painter, just to help customers understand in one line what you do. But it doesn't mean that you can't do other things.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So when people say like find your niche and just do your niche or whatever, it's just marketing. It's not, as an artist, for day to day, you then only do that one thing forever.
Gotcha.
If
No,
you
that
get
makes
what I
sense.
mean. Yeah.
Yes.
So
No, I definitely
I think,
understand.
yes, I do think people just get confused with that. So I just wanted to help you
Okay.
understand
No,
that when
I
you,
appreciate that.
yeah. So yeah, it's just marketing phrasing, not you can only do that one thing forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I don't know, I've read all like I don't know, the like different books that are like, all right, well you need to like like double down on this one thing that you're doing and then
Hmm.
but then they say like you need like a brand and a niche and a I don't know, a different method. So like seven different things.
Hmm.
I'm like I don't know what the difference between all those seven different things are or
Hmm.
why they are different, but that makes a lot of sense. Just keeping it like that and then if you like you're saying
Yeah,
like that doesn't mean people
um,
can't come to you for something else, but that's going to be
exactly. Yeah.
your main
Yeah.
message so that people don't
Yeah.
get too confused. That
Exactly.
makes sense.
Yeah. You just want to keep it simple for people because if someone else says, what do you do? And you say, well, I do wildlife paintings, I also do pottery, I also do glass blowing, I also do,
Right.
if you give them like a huge list of like things that you can do, it's just going to give them like decision fatigue,
Yeah.
and then they're
Information
not
overload.
really, yeah, and they're not really going to understand, like, okay, so, thanks, bye.
Yeah.
They'll just rather like not commission you and not want to go any further with that conversation because it's too much information. So it's just about saying one thing, just to help people understand, that's the main thing you do, and you can commission other things if you want to, but I'm a pet portrait artist. I can draw your pet,
Right.
and
No,
that's it. Yeah, yeah.
that makes a
Even though you
lot of
do loads of other
sense.
things on the side, so yeah,
Well, thank you.
you learn a lot as you do more. So
Yes.
yeah, like even I've just been learning so much about like marketing and business, and like as I'm growing my business and doing more business, I like to read more books about business. So it's just all, most of it's just marketing phrasing. It's not making you put yourself in a box in any way. It's just how you describe yourself to the customer from the customer's perspective.
Gotcha.
And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand, because it's easy to not understand it that way because you're doing it, so you're thinking about it from your perspective, aren't you, as the
Mm-hmm.
artist? You know, I can do all these things, so why not tell them that I can do all these things
Right, right.
rather
Then
than
they'll have
thinking
all the
about how it's
information.
heard. Yes, exactly. It's just too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love these colors that you're using, these oranges and yellows. It's coming out so
Thank,
beautifully.
thank you.
How, have you ever done a butterfly before?
I've never painted one. I've done colored pencil butterflies before.
Hmm.
Um, and I loved it. I think I've done like 4 or 5. I did
Hmm.
like a little mini series of different butterflies in colored pencil.
Hmm.
Um, but I've never painted one before, so this is fun.
Yeah, this is really fun because I've never even drawn one before.
Oh,
So I'm sort of like thinking, how is this different from fur? Oh, very different.
yes, yes,
It's
yeah.
sort of smooth like skin. So if you're doing a portrait, but it also is a bit textured and then also slightly transparent, I feel.
Yeah, in certain spots. So it's so many different textures and feels in one little piece.
Mm.
Um, yeah,
Oh, that's wonderful. It's fun to try something new,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. And I always find I never really like how it looks until I go in and add like the last, like the really dark blacks and then bright
Hmm.
whites. I'm like, all right, this just brings it all together of what it's supposed to look like. It's like,
Mm.
yeah, it looks okay, but just kind of getting the general shapes in now, and then you can really make it pop um, later.
Yeah, when you up the contrast, then it looks a bit more realistic.
Yes, yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do right now. I've just got in with my black cells thinking, oh, well, it doesn't look quite like the picture yet. Oh, this is why. Do you listen to anything while you paint?
I do. So I'll either listen to podcasts, or right now I've been listening to audiobooks
Hmm.
while I'm painting. Um, so I've been listening to an author called Brandon Sanderson. Um, so I've been listening to that. And then I used to listen to music when I was painting, or I used to watch shows like I'd watch like NCIS, or like shows that you could kind of tell what was going on without having to watch every second of it.
Yeah.
Because I would get distracted and then just start watching. I'm like, Rachel, you haven't painted. Like, just focus. Or I'd be like, oh,
All
I
your
missed
paint's
something.
dry.
Yeah, yes. Or I missed something. Like, what just happened? Um, so I don't do that as much anymore of watching stuff. I mainly do the audiobooks because I have an easier time, like just quick
Hmm.
pausing that if I need to hop up for the kids or
Hmm.
anything like that. So mainly audiobooks. What about you?
Yeah, I mainly watch stuff, but normally stuff that I've seen before. I can't really watch anything that I haven't seen that I'm really interested in because then I don't do any
Yeah,
drawing.
that's fair.
Yeah, so it's mainly stuff that I've already watched like 5 times before. So I know what's happening. I've seen it. I can basically say every line, but it's just like a comfort, like to watch it again kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I totally get that.
Because I've tried listening to like podcasts and like listen to art podcasts or business podcasts, and I just get too excited and too inspired, and then I want to go and do like business stuff rather than drawing.
Oh no,
It
I've
just
never,
motivates me too much.
I've, I've never had that problem. I would much rather sit and paint as opposed to like do all the back end stuff. So I think
Mhm,
that's part of the reason why it's hard to go any further, because
mhm,
I'm like, I need to sit down and like plan out posts or do all this marketing stuff.
mm,
I'm like, I don't have any idea where to start. And then I get like overwhelmed with all the
mhm,
things that I need that I
mm,
should be doing. And I'm like, if I could just sit and paint, like that's just so much easier, you know?
mm,
So then I just started doing that as opposed to like planning out posts and like doing all sorts of stuff. And
mm.
so, but at the same time, I don't have a lot of time to do it. So I'm like, all right, well, I need to be the most efficient with what I have. So I need to be painting the commissions that I have in the time that I have. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like a catch-22 of I need time to do this, but I don't have time to do but I don't have time to do it, if that makes sense. But I need
No.
to get more people in, but I don't have time to get more people in. So it's been a kind of a balancing act of what are you doing?
No, I totally know what you mean because I'm in the same boat. I want to do all this other stuff, but really I only have time to draw and get the
Mm-hmm.
commissions done and get the drawing done. And it's like finding an hour here and there to do the other things. And it does make you feel like you can work on the most important stuff though. Because obviously at the end of the day, doing the painting, doing the drawing is the most important as the artist.
Yes.
So,
Yes. I'm like, oh no, I haven't posted anything in a couple days. Like no one's gonna even remember who I am or that I can do stuff. I should probably post. And then it's like I'm like, I don't have any idea what to post. Like, so then it's the getting overwhelmed of I don't know what to do in that aspect.
mm.
But
I do find if you spend like say there's you get a few hours when your kids are in bed just to go over like your social media, look at what other artists are doing, look at what you want to do, especially like, who are you trying to speak to?
mm-hmm.
Like what are you trying to gain from doing a post? And then work out what kind of posts you want to do then. And then you can sort of write a little plan for yourself. And I came up with with like a month plan, and then I filmed quite a lot of content in one day when my husband took my daughter out, and it just gave me some content basically
Mm-hmm.
that I could then just post every day and not worry that I don't know what to post because it's already like made.
That makes sense.
So
Yeah.
it does take a bit of planning to do that, but then in the long term, like of, the rest of the week, the rest of the month, or however much content you've managed to plan out, you won't need to think what to post because you've already decided and you've written it down or you've made it or whatever stage you've got to in your planning. And
Yes.
then it's much easier overall.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. And then I'm like, all right, well people have already seen this 700 times. Like I shouldn't post about it again. And I'm like, Rachel, they probably haven't.
Yeah, they
But
probably haven't. No, you can't think like that either
yeah.
because social media doesn't show it to anyone. So
Yes.
you gotta keep talking about it.
Yes, that's the hardest of I'm like I don't wanna seem like annoying. Like I don't wanna keep posting and it be like, oh, I've already seen this 4 times, like
Yeah, even though you
show us
have,
something new.
not
I'm like, I
everyone
feel
else
they have
has.
like no one's seen it that many times and like
No, I,
so that's me
I,
just getting out of my own head of no they
yeah,
haven't. Like
no, no, I totally understand what you mean, but you just have to remember that like they haven't seen it.
yes.
So just post about it. The same thing 10 times. It literally doesn't matter. So how are you going to do these like little detailed texture bits on the bottom of the wing?
So I'm planning on I'm gonna do a base right now of the black, and
Hmm.
then I'm gonna go back in with a little bit of that orange, and then the blue, and just go over top of the black. So I know I like to save black for the end, but
Hmm.
because those details would get painted over almost if I
Hmm.
did the black last, I'm gonna do quick block in the black as much as I can, and then go back over top of it with a little bit of the orange, a little bit of purple,
Hmm.
and a little bit of that blue,
Hmm.
just over top of it is my thought anyways.
Hmm.
Hopefully make it look
Yeah.
feathered in there a little bit like that.
Yeah,
um,
because it's sort of like got this sort of pixelated look. Like that you'd say
yeah.
that's pixelated, isn't it? Like this is a high quality image. It's not actually pixelated, but it's just the way the design is, and I've never looked at a butterfly this close before, so it's very interesting how you'd create that sort of textured, pixelated look.
Yeah, no, pixelated is a good description of it. That's basically exactly what it looks like. It's just a bunch of tiny little dots. You got to figure it out and make it look good at
Mm.
the end of the
Yeah.
day. And not like, oh, you just decide to put paint wherever you want it to. Like, nope, that's where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, look at the picture. I copied the
Yeah.
picture. I think you'd like doing colour pencils on pastel mat because you can layer light over dark quite easily.
Which I never would have thought would be possible with colored pencils. So that's definitely
Same.
something to look into for sure.
Yeah, I would suggest trying it because I've literally only just started trying pastel matte paper when I started doing this book.
Oh, really?
Because another artist I was talking to, I think it was Connie Wharton from Australia, and she was like swears by pastel matte. And another
Really?
artist, I can't remember her name, swears by pastel matte as well. And I was like, okay, well, I've got to try it then, obviously. Amy Harwood, she loves pastel matte. And I was like, okay, well, I might as well try. And so I thought, might as well try this book. And
Yeah.
I love it. It definitely takes a bit of getting used to because the tooth is so harsh. You do have to add a bit more layers than you would normally on smooth paper. And I'm
Okay.
used to quite smooth paper. But weirdly, it makes your pencils then act like pastels. And I
Hmm.
still don't understand how.
How is this working? I don't know.
It's like crazy magic. So yeah, I don't know how, but it works. Like you see how black this bit is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, I'm gonna put some white over the top. Look, it just
That's
comes
crazy.
out.
Yeah.
It co- it's just on the top now. Like I don't need it there, obviously, so I'll cover it. But
Right.
it it just works. Like it
Wow.
doesn't
Yeah.
normally do that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would have
So you,
never thought that you could do that.
yeah, so you can sort of like how you would do pastels and how you would do paint and that sort of process of dark and then light over the top. You can do that on pastel mat,
Huh.
which is really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
It's very cool. I'm very excited about it because I love painting.
Yeah. Like, well, now I'm gonna need to try yet another thing. My husband's gonna be like, "What are you
Uh,
doing? Don't worry
Just trying
about
something
it."
else. Don't look, avert your
Yes,
eyes. But no, I would suggest you trying it because I think you'd like it, especially if you like colour pencil.
I do. I do. And I'm sure if I, like I said, if I practiced and had like worked with color pencils more, I would be more efficient at it. It's just the time. And I'm like,
Mm,
Rachel, just set a timer for an hour. Like you can
mm.
make time in an hour. Like,
Yeah. But no, it is a long process. I
yes,
do have to admit
yes,
that colour pencil is a longer medium than painting.
yes.
And it is less forgiving. So you can't really just like paint over the whole
Oh,
thing.
oh yeah.
So you do have to try and be a little bit more accurate and precise and
Yeah.
thoughtful because you can't really change
You
it
really
too much.
gotta make sure where you're putting the spot is exactly where you want to put it.
Yeah, exactly. But you will get quicker as well. Like I'm definitely trying to get quicker at color pencil, so this book is really helping me do that.
That's what I'm hoping that like I'm relatively quick with um painting. Like I do a ton of dogs, so I'm
Mhm,
pretty quick at painting them now at this point. But like all the different things in here, like the different butterflies, the different animals, or even in the other book you had like horse eyes and like
mhm,
different things like that. And I've done a couple of horses, but they take me so much longer because I don't do them very often.
mhm,
So just being able to have the practice of all right, sitting down and just doing this one spot and get really like get good at
yeah.
it and get quick at it and um, is going to be very helpful if I can just make myself
Mm.
sit down and do them.
Yeah. And there is a floral edition out now.
Oh,
So you
I
can practice
saw
more
that you're making
flowers.
that. I am super excited about that because I'm going to start offering that as an option to like the bouquets, like stuff like that,
Yeah.
just because it was so much fun
Oh, good.
to do. And it just turned out so beautifully.
Mm.
And so I was gonna snag that, and I was like, oh, this is perfect, because I had, like I said, I'd never painted flowers before, so I was just winging it and hoping that whatever I did would I could replicate it in the next flower. And more or less I did it. There was a lot of repainting of some areas. I was like, that looks awful, so let's try that again. But that's one of the nice things about paint. I could just paint right over it and fix it more or less. But yeah, I'm really excited for that one. So I actually looked, maybe it was 2 days ago, and I don't think it was up just yet. So I'm gonna have to
Yes,
pop
it
that
is up now. Yeah.
perfect.
Great. And I'm currently working on the African wildlife one, so I think you would like that too.
Oh yes,
Not that I'm trying to sell you all my books, but you just sound like you would like these books, so I'm just telling you.
No, I have been keeping my eyes open for them for sure.
Yeah.
So that one I was super excited about. And you're doing more of like humans, right? Like portraits and stuff like that?
Yes, yeah,
I'm
that's the one I'm doing next after the
I'm
African wildlife one.
I'm really excited for that one, because I've had several people ask me if I do portraits, and I've done a couple, I've done a handful, but I'm super slow at them. And so to price it out where I actually make a profit on it, I always feel bad. So I'm pretty sure I've like lost on everyone that I do, but I still say yes because I want to get better at them, and I want to be able to do it. But if I could like get those in practice, and hey, calm down. You're okay.
Well, that's the only way to improve, isn't it? Is just to keep
Yeah.
trying it.
Yes. And like years, like just keep practicing. Like it takes a lot of practice to be able to do it. And part of it is I feel like I'm wasting time, which I'm obviously not, but I feel like I'm wasting time making something that I can't sell. But I'm like, but Rachel, it'll make you a better artist. And so
No, definitely.
but with the quick, like you're saying, the quick hour ones, like I don't feel as like I'm wasting time, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, because you feel like if you've got these, spare hour, surely you should be using it on like a commission or something, useful.
yes, quote
But
unquote useful,
yes, I know exactly what you mean. That's exactly why I made this thing in the first place, because I felt like I wasn't getting enough practice. I wasn't getting enough variation. Especially when you're a commission artist, you do just get, the same kind of animal. And I wasn't getting enough variation, enough practice, enough like diversity in my portfolio, in understanding colors and textures. And that's exactly why I wanted to do this practice journal in the first place. So I could do it for myself, and and now I've just opened it up to everyone because it seems like everyone needs it. So
yes, no, it's been, oh, thanks, honey. No, it's been fantastic, and I keep following on. I'm like, oh, there's another one, sweet, I'll grab it. I've only done, now this will be my second one, but I'm like, all right, but
yeah,
you're making progress, so
no, exactly. Progress is progress.
yes,
Progress. Yeah, because but just before our chat, I was working on the giraffe. So that's as far as I've got so far. It's my first time ever drawing a giraffe.
oh
Here's
wow,
my
yeah,
first elephant skin I've ever done.
oh,
Here's my
that's
first zebra I've ever
beautiful.
done. Thank
Yeah.
you. And these are the ones from the cover of the floral one. So, because I'm drawing the covers, I like the idea that I've actually tried them out before,
Putting
I'm
them in.
launching it and giving them up, giving everyone a whole book to try. Like I'm drawing the covers out to sort of show how to use it and showing like a proof of concept.
Yeah.
So it's really fun for me to do it myself,
Oh
know.
yeah. No, those are beautiful. So
Oh,
I'm
thank you.
excited, especially for that African one. I'm
Yes.
pumped. That's like my bread and butter. If I'm gonna go paint something, I'm gonna go paint an elephant, or I'm gonna go paint a giraffe, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it should be ready by the end of the week. So,
Oh, awesome.
yeah.
Then I'll have 4 different practice books that I do.
Well, then you can do like a thing of like, okay, kids are asleep. I'm just going to randomly pick a book, randomly pick a page, and just do one and see how you feel kind of thing. Because then you're making progress, you're trying something new, and it's just a fun way of doing it, isn't
Yes.
it?
Yes. No, I'm excited. So,
Mm. Oh gosh, we're nearly run out of time. Oh.
I'm not anywhere near done. Oh, I mean close-ish, but
Yeah, no,
I would
I'm not
ask.
either. This needs like so many more layers, but
Yes.
it's just so fun to just do it. Like it's not about the result. We're having a nice chat about art.
Yeah.
So that's mainly what this live is about. Not completely about what we're actually doing. But yeah,
I need it.
I love your butterfly.
Oh, thank you. I'm having a hard time getting those like feathery,
Mm.
pixelated stuff to make it not be too crazy bright because
Hmm.
it's a little bit more muted in there.
It is like
Um,
this beautiful blue. Like, not really sure what that kind
yeah,
of color
it's
is.
like a periwinkle. It's almost like a bluey, purpley, like I don't even know. I don't even know how I'm gonna paint that. So
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll have to figure that out. You'll have to send me a picture if you manage to finish it off after this call. You'll have to send me a picture of it.
okay, I definitely
Yeah.
will. It might take. I might have to finish it later tonight, but I
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
want to
that's
finish
fine.
it. So,
Yeah.
and same, I want to see what it looks like in color pencil too. So,
Yes, no, that'll be fun. I'll carry on a little bit, I think, after our call, but I won't do too much more because it's quite nice to see exactly how much I've managed to get done in our time.
right, right.
But yeah, I think it's sort of this grey. What's this I'm using? This is steel grey, and that looks very
Yeah.
close. Close-ish. Maybe the reference picture is slightly more blue, but I think it's close enough
Yeah.
to get the gist of what I'm trying to make. Yes, I think my butterfly wings is quite rough because it needs more layers on this pastel mat, but I think I've got a good sort of a loose look going, which is not
Yeah.
me at all.
Yeah. Got the basin, so that's nice.
Yeah, yeah.
And the highlights are always, or the fine details are always the best part, anyways. It just brings it all together at the
Yeah.
end.
You always have to like stop yourself, don't you? Because you have to like, no, I need a bit more layers in first before I start doing every hair.
Yes. Yes.
But I just love doing the details. They're my favorite.
Agreed. It just makes it all look so much nicer. Like it just brings it all together. You're like,
Definitely. Oh, well, I'll have to say goodbye to you now.
all right. I don't know how to. Do I just hit end? I'm
It's
assuming.
okay. I'll end
Okay.
the call.
Perfect.
But
Thank you.
thank you so much for joining me, Rachel. It's been absolutely wonderful. We'll have to do this again
Yeah.
sometime.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thank you. And thank you everybody else for joining us on this live. So if you want to get your hands on this book, this is the Learn My Craft Practice Journal Pet Port what British Wildlife Edition, not Pet Portrait Edition. I'm getting confused now. This is the British Wildlife Edition. You can get it on Amazon and learnmycraft.com. And if you want to watch this live back, you can watch it back at learnmycraft.com. And please DM me if you would like to draw live with me at some point. Thank you so much, Rachel. Have a lovely rest of your evening.
Thank you.
And
You
I
too.
can't wait to see your finished butterfly.
Thank you.
If you've enjoyed listening, remember you can watch this podcast with video and no ads at learnmycraft.com, where you'll also find animal art practice journals, books, and tutorials to get you started. Hit subscribe and follow the podcast, and we'll see you next time.